Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of August 24th, 2025. Next Sunday, I'm having a free webinar. It will be held on Zoom about eclipse season to give you insights and tools to navigate this transition. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or go to my website, astrologybyceleste.com. If you cannot make it in person, you will get the recording, but I recommend coming live so that you can ask questions as well as have a chance at a hot take natal chart reading. I will do as many as I can. The Cosmic Shift Retreat for the Organization of Professional Astrology is October 15th through 19th. I'm doing a 3-day intensive about predictive astrology. This is going to be a phenomenal event. We went last year. I have a coupon code, faculty promo 55 for $55 off. My understanding is room rates are going to be going up September 1st, as well as the cost of the conference. So if you want to come to the retreat, I suggest booking now. I have a few more spaces left in my track. I would love to meet you in person, connect, and teach you tools for forecasting the future. Now a look at last week's astrology. We had a last quarter moon in the sign of Taurus, which rules resources, on the 15th of August. And the word of the day was peace. I picked the word before we knew that President Trump would be meeting with President Putin in Alaska. The astrology showed up in several ways. The meaning was called pursuing peace. And Mars, the planet of energy and drive, which pursues, is in the sign of Libra, a sign that rules peace. The sun was in Leo, and Leo energy puts on a grand show. And Libra has associations with cultural events. And it was horrifying for me to see, but American military were on their hands and knees rolling out a red carpet for this murderous dictator, Vladimir Putin, in a show of extreme deference. The meeting did not go as planned. There was a canceled lunch, as well as they took no questions at a press conference. Apparently, Putin just restated his goals of land he wanted from Ukraine, and they left without any peace agreement. And then Zelensky was summoned to the White House for a meeting with the president. And if you recall, back in March, the last time they met was the day before Venus went retrograde. And it was a very contentious meeting where Zelensky was abused essentially as a guest and thrown out of the White House. So last week's title was called Noblesse Oblige. And it's the idea that with power and privilege comes responsibility. And those with a higher status or positions of influence are expected to act with generosity and integrity for those with less. So 6 European leaders joined Zelensky at the White House as a show of helping protect him. So that is how the astrology showed up in terms of the podcast title. It was very Pluto in Aquarius, group taking care of someone, and with Venus in Jupiter in Cancer, like they were performing this protective, energetic circle around Zelensky to help protect him and his homeland from being abused and mistreated again at the White House. Your cosmic advantage begins with the Wise Skies digital calendar. With descriptions for every planetary and lunar event, all levels of astrology enthusiasts can enjoy the calendar on any device and now in many languages. With this superpower in your back pocket, you will be fully equipped to understand the astrological weather any day of the week. My good friend and collaborator, Tiffany Herlick, creates this calendar every year, and I use it daily. I highly recommend it. Use my coupon code for $10 off. The code is ABC2025. Let the universe have your back with the Wise Skies digital astrology calendar. The theme of this week is put a ring on it, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Venus, the planet of love, beauty, harmony, money, will enter the fiery, fun, and playful sign of Leo from August 25th to September 19th. This energy is so girls just want to have fun. It's a little dramatic and playful and wanting to have a good time. I get the image of queen for a day, like partying like a celebrity. Leo rules royalty and celebrities. And I got the image of Marilyn Monroe's with her red lipstick, glitz, and glamour. It's a great time to express yourself with how you're dressed, how you move your body, be creative. Romance and recognition are maybe things that you're finding you want to magnetize to yourself. There's energy for joy, play, and visibility in your relationships and your creative pursuits. You notice people really craving or doing dramatic things, trying to get the admiration, affection, or feel special. Bold self-expression is nice, but be aware this transit will have a shadow side, because as soon as Venus enters the sign of Leo, it opposes Pluto in Aquarius. So we may see that themes of people being embarrassed or humiliated for going too far with the energy in the collective. What Pluto can do is make small things big and big things small. So notice if you see some huge celebrity or something cut down to size because of a way that they are acting, it really gives themes, Venus opposite Pluto, of that tall poppy syndrome in Australia, where if anyone starts to poke their head up too high or get too much attention from the group, they get cut down to size. So we may see secrets coming to light, dramatic sexual attention. Lovers' quarrels can erupt in your own life or the collective, but after a lover's quarrel, making up can be delicious and fun. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Uranus in Gemini will form an opportunistic sextile with Neptune in Aries. These are both outer planets, and they have a 171-year cycle. And this is the first aspect that they're making in terms of the Ptolemaic aspects, the 5 aspects we most talk about, since the late 80s when Uranus and Neptune met in the sign of Capricorn. So if you were born around that time, this could be really important for yourself, where you get insights into your Uranian energy, how you want to be unique, your own personal brilliance in your thought processes or how you speak. These are Gemini topics. Some awarenesses from how you fit in your sibling order or sibling childhood topics could be coming up, or early education. These are Gemini topics, or things about your neighbors. And Neptune rules creativity, spirituality. It's the planet of illusions and delusions. And it's in Aries, so it can be a themes of, I call Neptune and Aries pop the balloon. So you could just be thinking and having aha moments after aha moments of seeing things differently from a different perspective from the past, because Uranus is direct, but Neptune is retrograde. So there can be balloons pop, like illusions shattered about things in your own life. And it's a waxing sextile. So something is growing. This is a great time to let yourself be really imaginative, especially if you're like a creative writer or any kind of artist. But watch out for going overboard. You might want to keep a fire extinguisher handy. Uranus and Gemini can get your mind scattered all over the place. So can you focus over multitasking? Because if you're doing too much and too many things, you risk like just burning yourself out. Fire can bring burnout or little accidents. Watch out for escapism. Neptune can take you on an escapist journey. And impulsive destructive behavior, like any of your habits where you do them in a way that you just get caught in loops. Just be aware of that. But I think this is a beautiful energy that can bring inspired storytelling, creative breakthroughs, passionate declarations. Big emotions are possible that can be really beautiful, like poetry. This is poetry in motion. But some people may find that anger or frustration can really flare up and relationships can get to a breaking point. Remember that Uranus awakens, surprises, and sparks innovative thought. Neptune can idealize and bring us to a higher love. In 1993, they met at 18 and 19 degrees of Capricorn 3 times. This was a period of illusions and bubbles bursting around jobs and institutions. They will sextile 5 times between now and 2027, offering opportunities on the personal and the collective level to reimagine the future. The first time is August 28th, 2025, and they're both at 1 degrees of their respective signs. They're both going to retrograde back, and on November 20th, 2025, Uranus will be at 29 degrees of Taurus in a sextile with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. 29 degree is one of crisis and decay. Taurus is earth and resources. Pisces is water, emotions, creativity. So there may be something you're getting insight in now, and in November, there may be a callback where you realize you need an adjustment of some resources, or your imagination expands even further. And then in July 16th of 2026, Uranus will be at 4 Gemini and Neptune will be at 4 Aries. And there are 2 more sextiles after that. But just pay attention. If you're feeling this energy strongly now, know that this is going to be repeating over the next several years. And it's an opportunity, nothing to be nervous about, just be aware of. And you can make the most of it. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a first quarter moon at 8 degrees of Sagittarius on the 30th, which is Saturday. Sagittarius energy is fiery, inspired, expansive. It's seeking new experiences. Now, the first quarter moon is a crisis of action. So the sun in Virgo is focusing us in on what is orderly, the fine details, encouraging precision. How can I be more orderly, but not take the fun and the inspiration and the Sagittarian joy out of what I'm doing? So there can be feelings of being restless and not wanting to focus, taking actions to keep the big picture in mind and not getting lost in the details, and understanding when you have enough of the practical information to let yourself move into a new direction and be inspired and creative and shedding wisdom on the bigger picture with what you're working on. The tarot card for this Sagittarius moon is the Eight of Wands, a card of swift movement. Things are going to be moving fast. So make sure you're paying attention to where you're going. The Sabian symbol is a mother leads her small child step by step up the stairs. This gives themes of helping someone less experienced and a teacher providing guidance and protection. I've talked about this before, but if you're not aware of what's going on in Texas, you might want to take a look about how the GOP was told by Donald Trump to redistrict to try to give him 5 more seats. And Democrats left the state, some of the state legislators, to try to prevent it. Now they've come back, and then they were told they needed to sign permission slips in order to leave the chamber, so they can't go anywhere unescorted by police. And because the Republicans really want to get this redistricting plan through, they're prioritizing it over the flood victims who lost property, lives, and loved ones during the horrible July 4th floods. But one representative, Nicole Collier, who has a Virgo stellium, refused to sign the permission slip, and she was forced to stay under lock and key in the chambers overnight, which allowed her to become a mythic hero of sorts. So you can think about Mars and Libra. She was fighting for justice opposite Saturn and Neptune and Aries. It's just a power grab. And Kamala Harris called her and told her how proud she was of her and how she is not alone, even though she was there alone in the chamber, that people around the country are rooting for her and ready to get activated in order to protect voting rights, because gerrymandering is when they carve up these districts in order to give themselves an unfair advantage. Both parties have done this, but right now the fight is with the GOP trying to do this. So things can get really emotionally heated quickly in conflict Mars, where there can be an expansion of the conflict, and things can get a little out of hand because Libra energy can disassociate from the emotions, but the Cancer energy can get really emotional. So you may see people in real conflict, especially notice if legal battles get really intense. And Jupiter in Cancer is trine the North Node in Pisces. The North Node can be groups and Jupiter legal affairs, you may be seeing like some court cases filed or judgments of the nature of fertility. Cancer is associated with motherhood and fertility, and Pisces has to do with medications. Yeah, so see if we see anything coming up about abortion medications. Also, with the Mars in Libra square Jupiter and Cancer and the first quarter moon, we may be seeing something about volcanoes or like earthquakes in the Ring of Fire this week, because the new moon in Virgo squared Uranus, the ruler of earthquakes. And there's been a lot of like little mini earthquakes going off. There could be like a pressure relief valve could be something that we see happening at the first quarter moon, because there's a lot of tension, and the sun in Virgo may be spotlighting Earth. Now, this could be figurative, like with a person going off like a chimney. But first quarter moons are times of action. So think back about what you set at the new moon and what you need to do next to bring your goals to fruition. The moon phase family for this Sagittarius first quarter moon began 9 months ago when we had a new moon at 9 degrees of Sagittarius on December 1st, 2024. The sun and the moon were both at 9 Sagittarius. Think about what intentions you set at that time, what actions were initiated. This was when Luigi executed the CEO of the healthcare company. So it'll be interesting if this week his trial date is announced. I don't know if there's been any announcements about that yet. That's Luigi Mangione. At the first quarter moon, the sun is in Virgo and the moon is in Sagittarius, both at 8 degrees on August 31st. First quarter moons is a pivot point where we can course correct. 9 months from now, there'll be a full moon at 9 degrees where the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Sagittarius, both at 9 degrees on May 31st, 2026. And the last quarter moon of this cycle is where the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Sagittarius, both at 9 degrees. February 28th, 2027. And then you're having lessons learned and wrapping things up at the last quarter moon. These cycles are great for setting large-scale objectives. And it's also wonderful to just watch and see how they unfold. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is overthrow. The sun in Virgo is squaring Uranus in Gemini, both at 1 degrees of the respective sign. The sun is a leader archetype, and Uranus is a revolutionary and the protester. So I got the image of someone giving the finger to their leader. Gemini, Uranus is in Gemini. Gemini rules the hands. Also, you might see a leader like tripping over their shoelaces or something like that. The Virgo Sun on this same day will quincunx Neptune and Aries on one side, and Neptune's retrograde, and the Sun will quincunx Pluto in Aquarius on the other side, also retrograde. So there's this yod all at 1 degree. So if you have anything around 1 degrees in your chart, this could be really important. And the Sun is at the apex. So what comes to your conscious attention, there could be some kind of like habit that you'd use for escapism, Neptune, and it's really subconscious Pluto that someone brings your attention to, or you recognize yourself and you decide it's time to overthrow this habit. And this would be what you set intentions for. And you work and keep your conscious mind on this subconscious behavior through this cycle. And this can be great growth for you. Now, the ring of fire, earthquake, or volcano was one of the imageries I got for this. And the moon is going to hit the south node on this day. So notice if we see the topsoil of land with Virgo being dusted up or swirling around, that could be in moon south node in Virgo. Or if there's another kind of recall for some food. People have been told not to eat shrimp from Walmart because it tested with some radioactivity was detected in this shrimp, which is horrifying, from Indonesia. There's going to be some difficult news on this day. On Monday, the word of the day is injustice. The moon enters Libra at 7:07 a.m. Libra is cardinal initiating air. It rules peace, balance, justice, relationships. These one-on-one partnerships are Libra topics. So there may be some news about engagements or relationship breakups is also possible, because as soon as the moon enters Libra, it opposes Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So a fairy tale romance could fall apart and it feels like an injustice. On this day, Venus at 29 Cancer moves to 0 Leo. You're done crying over this failed relationship. Like, it's time to wipe the tears away and you're ready to go out and have fun with Venus and Leo. And Venus and Leo will make a smooth, easy-flowing trine to Saturn retrograde in Aries. And you may, with Venus and Leo, have some understanding about how your desire for admiration or attention in relationships or romance is Saturn limiting you in some way. Or maybe you think about what you will put limits on other people for your highest good. Like, you're not going to put up with nonsense in the future. You may come to some kind of conclusion about how you're not going to let anyone treat you without fairness and balance anymore, and there being reciprocity in the relationship. On Tuesday, the word of the day is energized. The moon meets Mars at 12 Libra. So moon Mars can really, you may feel like, oh my God, I got to get up, I got to exercise. And you just decide, you want to start dancing and put on music. Venus in Leo is sextile Uranus in Gemini, both at 1 degree. So this can be like, Uranus can break patterns and break you up out of stagnation and getting going. Venus will trine Neptune retrograde in Aries. So you may be playing some oldie but goodie song. Neptune has association with music, which is one of the things that can take us on a journey. Mercury in Leo is at 16 degrees, quincunx the North Node in Pisces at 16 degrees. There may be some stories about firefighters. Leo is a fire sign. There was an article in, I can't remember if it was the New York Times or the LA Times, about firefighters fighting wildfires without masks on and them getting really sick and some of them dying. It was just horrible to see. Or having problems getting health care after they've risked their lives and sacrificed their health. These are people who are in their 30s and 40s, really sick. There's a waxing crescent moon at 19 Libra at 8:44 p.m. Pacific time. People may be energized to get justice, or somebody may be getting engaged. Venus in Leo is opposite Pluto retrograde, both at 1 degree on this day. There is so much energy around 1 degree of the signs. And Taylor Swift has her Venus at 1 Aquarius, so Pluto has been going over it again and again. When I was writing this, I was getting the image of her getting engaged, but I don't know if it's her. But I think there's also this Sean Hannity and Ainsley on Fox News that are in a relationship, and the president was on there and he was suggesting something secret. Pluto can be secrets revealed. Something secretive about a relationship can be revealed. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an engagement that happened a while ago or a breakup announced around this time. On Wednesday, the word of the day is domain. The moon in Libra is opposite Chiron retrograde in Aries, both at 26 degrees. I got the image of someone saying something outside of the side of their mouth to their partner, can start a little bit of a fight. And then when the moon moves into Scorpio at 6:26 p.m. Pacific time, this is fixed water, and this is ruled by Mars in Libra. There could be a lot of tension between partners where you're not speaking to each other or saying things that have an undercover or subconscious edge to them. So just be aware this day that you're not being passive aggressive, because Libra, that's one of the shadows. And then the moon moves into Scorpio and people get aggressive. The moon will then be opposite Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree, the Scorpio moon. And Scorpio has associations with shared assets, it's power dynamics, big wealth. And I got eminent domain, which is why this is the word of the day, why domain is the word of the day, because communities are fighting against these AI companies putting in these factories, or whatever you call it, data centers in their towns, because they're using up a lot of energy and water and not compensating the people who live there. People's power bills are going up and people are getting sick in places like Memphis. And so they're winning the fight against, there was a place in Texas and somewhere else that the people came together, Pluto and Aquarius, and voted down a data center. Now, eminent domain is the law about how the government can seize land, buildings, or other property if it's deemed necessary for projects like highways, schools, or utilities. And these data centers are utilities, but you must get just compensation. So we may see something like that coming up, where a governor or even the president of the United States or somewhere else in the world is saying, we need to put this utility company here and we will overrule what the people say. So just stay tuned for that. Hopefully not, but that could be something that's coming up. Thursday's word of the day is visionary. Uranus and Gemini sextiles Neptune retrograde in Aries. They're both at 1 degree. This is the sextile that happens for the first time. And you could get some information that, like a mind breakthrough, where you just know the next steps you need to make on a big creative project. or you could get information or some executive order can come down that pops your balloon about your ability to organize and have influence and fight the power. On Friday, the word of the day is overcompensate. The Scorpio moon will square Mercury in Leo at 5:46 p.m. They're both at 23 degrees of their respective signs. With Mercury and Leo, there can be some smack talk. Mercury communicates. Leo is a bit dramatic, and it could be like someone over puffing themselves up. And the moon in Scorpio is in the sign of its fall. It doesn't like to be there. It can go to extremes. So somebody may be doing a lot of tough talk to seem stronger than they really are and overcompensating. Hopefully you get overcompensated at work, or you get a raise or a great tip. On Saturday, the word of the day is enthusiasm. The moon enters Sagittarius at 7:04 a.m. So you might, if you were kind of grumpy going to bed Friday night, you might wake up with a new sense of optimism on Saturday morning. This is a big energetic shift from Scorpio, deep, intense waters that can be a little paranoid or pessimistic, into Sagittarius energy, which can be optimistic and joyful, seeking experiences, wanting to explore. Great day for a road trip. You could just do something unexpectedly. The Sagittarius moon is opposite Uranus and Gemini, both at 1 degree. And it could be like, let's go for a road trip. But be mindful, people may be driving a little crazy. Last time the Sag moon was opposite Uranus and Gemini was when Big Balls, the Doge staffer, allegedly was beat up by some teenagers, including a girl. And this led to the occupation by the federal government of DC, which is a very contentious fight right now. This is the day of the first quarter moon. So the sun is in Virgo and the moon is in Sagittarius, both at 8 degrees at 11:25 p.m. Pacific time. Notice if you see something like that, because Sagittarius can be lawless. And Virgo wants order. And so, like with Mercury and Leo, somebody just putting their name on a wall could be quite possible. Now, that's it for this week's episode. Remember to sign up for the free webinar if you'd like to join. Feel free to email me with any astrology and action stories at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.